The last Mafioso, Cadillac Frank trial shows mobs decline. Boston, AP. Francis Salem leaned forward in his chair and craned his neck to get a better look at the photo being shown to jurors. On the computer screen was Salem, with brown, curly hair, at the time the New England Mafia boss known as Cadillac Frank, holding court outside a hotel under the watchful eye of the FBI. Almost 3 decades later, the 84-year-old Salem, on trial in the strangling of a nightclub owner in 1993, would fit in better at a nursing home than at the helm of a mafia meeting. For prosecutors, Salem is perhaps the last man standing from an era when organized crime flourished in Boston and its environs. Geriatric mobster who was wheeled into the courtroom on the trial's first day is a shell of his former self, much like the New England Mafia he once led. Ad choice advertising and red invented by Teeds-related links lawyers to present final arguments in Mafia boss trial advertisement. It's the end of an era, at least this chapter of organized crime in the Boston area, said Brian Kelly, a former U.S. attorney who prosecuted Salem in prior cases and helped secure a conviction against notorious gangster Whitey Bulger. The Mafia still has a presence in cities like New York, Chicago, Philadelphia and Detroit, but it's not nearly as powerful or violent as it was decades ago, said Scott Bernstein, who has written books about the mob. When the upper echelons, like Salem, started cooperating with authorities, it opened the floodgates for members to turn on one another, Bernstein said. And as the oath of omerta, the code of silence, went out the window, the men left on the streets stopped taking care of the families of those behind bars, which pushed angry members to make deals with the government, said Thomas Foley, a former Massachusetts State Police colonel who wrote a book on the pursuit of Bulger. The last part of the golden age of American organized crime went down with people like Cadillac Frank, Bernstein said. The city will never see a mob trial like this again. Salem's baggy suits hang on his frail frame, and gray wisps that are slicked back over his balding head replace his brown curls. Before leaving court one day in May, his lawyer had to remind him not to forget the inhaler he had left on the table. Advertisement. Salem, who headed the New England family of La Cosa Nostra, shuffles in and out of the courtroom, hunched over, only occasionally lifting his head to wave and wink at a reporter who has covered him for decades. Salem looks so different that his former partner in crime, 84-year-old Stephen, the rifleman, Flemmy, initially couldn't even recognize him sitting just a few feet in front of him in court. Salem's trial has transported jurors back to a time when the Mafia was a force to be reckoned with. And the parade of old allies who have marched in to testify against him shows that the oath of omerta is long dead. The loyalties aren't there like they used to be, the discipline isn't there like it used to be, Foley said. Now all you have to do is threaten them with a significant penalty, and they're pretty much ready to turn over, Foley said. Salem and his co-defendant, Paul Wiedek, are accused of killing Stephen DeSaro because Salem feared he would cooperate with authorities. Salem, who has admitted to several other killings, and Wiedek insist they are innocent. DeSaro's remains were dug up in 2016 after authorities got a tip they were buried near a mill in Providence, Rhode Island. For more than a month, jurors have heard from and about gangsters with nicknames like the Cigar and Fatso. They've watched as U.S. Marshal Service officials, disguised by makeup and wigs to protect their identities, explained how Salem quietly left Atlanta, where he had been living in the witness protection program under the name Richard Parker, with more than $28,000 in cash after DeSaro's remains were found. Advertisement. And they've heard hours of colorful testimony, like when a mob associate uttered, "Bada bing bada boom," as he described how Salem once grabbed him by the throat. Closing arguments in the case are set for Monday. Salim, a survivor of gang wars that plagued Boston in the 1960s, decided to cooperate with authorities in 1999 and agreed to serve 11 years in prison on racketeering charges after he learned Flemmi and Bulger had been informing the FBI. Salim was kicked out of witness protection in 2004 when he was charged with lying to investigators for suggesting other mobsters killed DeSaro and was later allowed back under government protection, until DeSaro's remains were found. Salim's regime was the last of the truly feared and powerful ones in New England, said Stephen Johnson, who investigated organized crime for the state police before retiring last year. Decades of prosecutions and stiffer penalties that gave authorities more leverage to persuade mobsters to give up their friends have left a fractured organization made up of soprano wannabes who dabble in loan sharking, illegal gambling and drugs, Johnson said. One of the men helping prosecutors who hope to put Salim away for the rest of his life is his ex-partner Flemmi, who claims he walked in on DeSaro's killing. After Flemmi took the stand this month, prosecutors asked Flemmi about dozens of killings he's been involved in, including one of his own criminal colleagues. "I didn't feel that he would be able to stand up to authorities," Flemmi explained when asked why he shot the man. He then continued to testify against his one-time best friend, _____. Follow Alana Durkin Richer at http://twitter.com/adurkinricher and read more of her work at http://bit.ly/2hizadb. By Taboola. Sponsored links promoted links. You may like HomeAway. 15 awesome Thailand villas cheaper than a Singapore taxi ride. HomeAway Undo. Straits Times Fighting Beauties. Straits Times Undo. Enjoy. Compare best credit cards in Singapore. Compare today. Enjoy. Compare Undo. Young parent Sean Yu confirms his wife is 6 months pregnant. Young parent Sunday. Vikings. Free online game. Perfect game to play when you're stuck home on a rainy day. Vikings. Free online game on WoW. Fashionable. Sexiest camo wedding dresses fantasy according to Mana. Fashionable Undo.